All right, good Wednesday morning, everyone. First Alert meteorologist Eric Burke. Welcome to Weather Extra. This is a special one. So I'm joined by my new co-anchor on 48 News Today, Jonathan Skinner.
Hey.
This man, thank you first of all for joining us.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we're solely going to talk about the weather. Because you've been interviewed by so many of us over the past couple of weeks. You're on your third week with us.
This is the second week on air.
Second week on air. Well,
yes,
it's been a pleasure having you. He starts right at 4:30.
That's right.
Starting to get a hold of the traffic maps and everything.
Trying my hand at it.
Yeah, it takes some time to know the roadways and everything. But if you've missed any of the previous interviews, Jonathan was on Tennessee Valley Living. He was interviewed by Peyton Walker.
Yeah.
If you want to know a lot more about him, that's a great interview to refer to. And I know AJ, our digital host, sat in these same beautiful green chairs back here.
Yes.
And interviewed you too. So I'm going to start off by saying it is your son's birthday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Happy birthday, Brandon. He turns 4 today. So he had a little surprise at the house when he woke up this morning. You know, my wife decorated the hallway and, you know, put up his presents and this big sort of display for him. So, you know, he showed me some videos of it. He looked excited and also sort of, you know, sleepy because he was just waking up, you know.
4-year-old life is tough, you know.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. It's rough. It's
but
rough.
you are going to stop by his school later for a little surprise
a little
too,
surprise
so
party for him, and hopefully he'll be excited for that too.
And I'm sure you're coming from Birmingham, obviously, so since he's been born, usually June 25th, one of the warmer days
very
that
much
we
so.
see.
Yes, I mean, so I'm trying to think, like his first birthday we had sort of at like a clubhouse that was inside also.
Okay.
Second one we sort of just had with, you know, our like immediate family, and that was at our house. So part of it was outside, part of it was in the house, you know. So you got a little display there. And then third one we had also inside as well. So it was always hot, you know, during his birthday, because we've always sort of thought about, oh, maybe we'll do it at a park, you know, because it's outside, you know, and sometimes it's free, but it just hasn't worked out with like the heat outside. And today was not the day either.
We know it's coming too, and I'll go through your heat advisory details and all that coming up. Talk about a break from the heat and more chances for storms too. But so originally born in New York, but your TV career has brought you multiple places too. So go through some of that.
So I'll say, also want to mention, you know, born in New York, but also raised in North Carolina as well. And my first job in the TV industry was in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is a, you know, entirely different climate, as you know.
Little different.
Little bit different here than what we have here down south. So first 2 years were there, sort of weekend anchoring, reporting during the week. And then from there, moved to Birmingham to start, you know, morning reporting there, and then hopped here to Huntsville. So sort of hopped around a little bit, and then also for school, you know, went to undergrad in Atlanta at Morehouse College, and then, you know, also stayed there for grad school partially, and then went to grad school at Northwestern up in the Chicago, Evanston area as well. And
beautiful, right there on the
lake.
Oh
my goodness, sensational, you know. So I got a little bit of that lake effect snow, being in, you know, Chicago area, then in Erie on the sort of the other side of Lake Erie. So definitely a fun experience.
But the majority of your life has been either in the mid-Atlantic or down here in the South.
Correct.
So pretty fully acclimated to the heat, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I don't mind the heat, you know, because like you said, I'm acclimated to it. I've lived in it, you know. But I'm also one of those people that actually like sort of the colder weather during the winter time and everything. So I think the southern winter is sort of my jam. You know, it's never like too cold. You're never buried in snow like you are in certain places up north. But you're also getting, you know, days that are a little bit more favorable. You know, you can get like a 60-degree day, you know, in the winter time. Whereas, you know, up north, the winter time, I mean, in Erie, there were days I was like, where are the grass? Where's the grass? You know, because there's so much snow on the ground
around
and
May
ice.
Sometimes, for sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you know, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, so I knew 4 seasons, winter being the longest and the absolute worst. And then my first TV job was in Rapid City, South Dakota, too. So you want to talk about a long winter there in western South Dakota. Some days I would show my temperature maps for the wind chill. Here we do it for the heat index, but the wind chill, it was so cold they didn't even have a color that matched. You know, that's how cold it was. And just one story that jumps out, we were forecasting a big snowstorm, and I went on television and I said, we're going to get 3 feet of snow. My co-anchor at the time was from California, and she goes, that's not possible. We can't get 3 feet of snow.
Right.
We got 3.5 feet of snow, and I was like, I told you it might happen too. And then moved to Lexington, Kentucky, and here we are. And this blood has gone thin very quick. I don't like the cold anymore. Everyone always says, oh, if you miss the snow. I'm like, not really. I know where to find it. I'll go on a nice vacation, see some snow, and come right back to my 50-degree January day here where I could play golf in, December, January.
Well, I'll say when you grow up down south, like, you want this to see the snow, and it's usually because school's going to be closed, you're going to get to stay at home, and it's really like, an inch or two, and it's enough to get outside and play and throw snowballs in the neighborhood. Whereas when living up north, I mean, snow, you have to go to school, it doesn't matter how much snow it is almost. You're still going to be dealing with the slosh from the snow that's still there, days later. So it's a much different experience, I think, from, what we get, the snow that we get down south every now and then.
And I've learned that over the course of 8 years, because when we start talking snow, when it's that time of year, people get really excited about it. And sometimes I think their expectations outweigh what the reality of what we're forecasting is. And then they start naming snow events from the past. Like they remember
the
them.
Snowmageddons.
Yeah, they remember them so vividly, where I'm like, oh man, I've seen so much snow in my life. It was just Tuesday back home or when I was in Rapid City for sure. But they get excited. I still get excited. It's just a lot more difficult to forecast down here. There's so many more variables. Than saying, hey, there's going to be 3 feet of snow, you get 3.5 and go on with your day. But you did mention Erie, Pennsylvania, lake effect snow machine there. Not quite Buffalo bad, but still significant. There was a job opening in Buffalo, and I was like, but Niagara Falls, that's kind of neat. And you just see some of the snow footage that they get with the lake effect, and it's insane. And I was like, no, I don't think that's going to work for me. But do you remember the most snow potentially that you saw with one of those lake effect events?
Oh man,
had to be measurable in at least a foot or more.
Oh yeah, definitely more than a foot. I don't remember the exact measurements, but I remember one of the first weekends I had to work there on the weekend mornings, and I remember going to bed that night knowing that it was going to snow the next day, and really like, okay, I'm just going to have to go to work. This was my first time ever actually going to work in like actual snow. And I remember when I went downstairs, opened the garage, and the whole, street, the snow plows they had already run through everything. But everything that wasn't on there, I mean, it was piled high.
Right on the edge of your driveway,
exactly,
too. Good luck getting out.
Thank you. Yeah, and I had to figure out a way to get out, shovel that out the way. But it was just like, wow, this is like a totally different experience in life, having to go to work in these kind of conditions,
For more or less a North Carolina guy too.
Basically,
it would snow there, but not the lake effect snow machine
that
Erie was.
Yeah, and the part of North Carolina I grew up in, it wasn't like in Asheville or like the western parts of the state where you can get snow up in the mountains and stuff like that. On the sort of the eastern portion of the state, we don't really get too much of it. So definitely a different experience. I remember getting calls the first time I had to be out in the snow reporting. We got calls to the station like, why y'all have them out there in the snow? Because I was probably, shaking, how cold it was and how much snow we were getting. But it's definitely an experience that I absolutely value now.
We can look back and laugh
at it, But yeah, man, I mean, it's definitely a different world, when it gets to that winter time and that snow's coming down like that. So,
and you join us as the morning anchor, but a lot of your experience previously has been field reporting too. And you mentioned, hey, let's stick them out in the snow, let them explain what's going on to the people that are watching, hopefully in their warm homes or whatever. Do you have any memorable weather-related events? I know you've worked in Birmingham, you've probably covered tornado cleanup and everything. Is there one or two that stick out to you more so than some of the others?
There was one of the first reports I had to do on a tornado in the Birmingham area. It was sort of in the northern portion. I think it was either Gardendale or Fultondale.
One of the Dales.
One of the Dales there, right? And so a tornado sort of ripped through that area and totally destroyed this hotel that was out there. I mean, it basically ripped off one whole side of that hotel that was right off of the exit. I think this was Gardendale. And when I got out there, I mean, you had the crews that were working out there. You had the people that had been, basically displaced for the night because they were staying overnight. And so that was my first sort of initiation into like how destructive these tornadoes and these storms can be, you know, because we had in North Carolina growing up, we had hurricanes that would come in, but I had never experienced like a tornado itself or seeing the damage or the destruction from it. And so that's one thing I'll just always remember is just seeing that entire sort of hotel just basically like split in half in Gardendale. And then further on, and that was sort of at night because I was, you know, reporting early in the morning. When the sunlight came up, you could see, you know, clear path of where it went through. You go around to Fultondale. I think this was in Fultondale now. Same sort of day, same storm system. Totally destroyed part of this high school that's there and their baseball field. I mean, it was just so you know, expansive how much destruction was there or left behind from it. And so, you know, that was sort of my first experience of like, you are in a place where tornadoes can cause widespread damage. You know, there were trees down in neighborhoods. You know, you had communities that were coming together. So that was sort of, I guess, the positive side of it, though. You know, because you get to see the goodness of man, the goodness of people that will come out and support each other. Who, you know, their neighbors who've gone through this, you know, horrific ordeal of, you know, having a storm rip through their homes and, you know, rip their lives apart in a lot of ways.
And unfortunately, here in Alabama, that's an all too common thing. It feels like almost every month of the year, through the spring especially, we've had numerous tornado events already. But you go to the goodness of people, and it's the same thing every time. It doesn't matter if it's an EF0 or a more significant tornado. Every time you talk about the community giving back, helping those people that are displaced, the chainsaws come out. And what amazes me the most is how fast some of these people manage to clean up and kind of start putting things back together. And we see that time and time again. So the true Alabamian way right there, you know, help the neighbor. And we know it could happen to any one of us. And
absolutely.
You know, we track these storms on the radar, and then it's always like you're saying, the next morning you kind of get that look of daylight, and you see how bad it is.
So. I will also say that gave me even, you know, a greater appreciation for the work that you all do as meteorologists and the importance of that, because when you're giving someone a warning and they're watching, you know, and they're paying attention, or they're watching on their phone on social media like this, or they're watching on their television, like those updates that you all give, those first alerts that you all give to find shelter, to get to safety, you know, are life-saving a lot of times. And so it's really amazing to see that in the work that you all do with that as well.
We appreciate it. Every event, we always look back at the coverage of, you know, could we have done something differently? But anytime we get through the event and you find out there's not even an injury, let alone a fatality, we chalk that up as a huge win. You know, stuff is replaceable. People are not. We always kind of try and stress that as much. But obviously, we're in the hot stretch now. We still get storms. Any tips for keeping cool? What's your way to stay cool on a day like today?
Stay inside.
Stay inside.
That's the way I go. You know, but I will say, you know, staying hydrated. Of course, the stuff that we, you know, constantly sort of tell you, everyone, staying hydrated. There was a good point yesterday, and there was a story that we talked about with. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it may have been the Alabama Department of Health, Dr. Karen Landers.
Correct. Yep.
Mentioning to, you know, stay hydrated, drink electrolytes, but not drink too much. You know, especially because, you know, if you have heart conditions or if you have things like that that can negatively impact you, but you do want to make sure you're getting electrolytes in if you can, and getting that water in as well. And so for me, that's always big. Like being, you know, someone that played sports growing up, especially during, you know, the summer months and things like that. Like you have to stay hydrated at all times. You know, and so it's critical to do that. So that'd probably be my biggest tip. I do at times have, there's like these cloths that you can wet, put on your neck, you know, sort of keep you cool when you're outside. And I think a lot of people that work outside often probably use those as well.
So, they know all the tricks.
Oh, absolutely.
You want some heat safety tips, talk to construction workers, landscapers, you know, the people that are required to be outside, and they'll tell you everything. I know we give you the safety tips. We're more just encouraging good common sense, good judgment. Maybe don't go play 36 holes of golf. And I love golf more than anyone. But maybe today's not the day to play 2 rounds of golf. And even being poolside, I'm a big pool guy. Love to go out there, read my book. But days like today, it's almost too hot. If you're not in the water
itself,
you're still overheating and everything. So really just appreciate the discussion. And welcome, sir.
Appreciate it.
It's been a great 2 weeks having Jonathan again. You can learn a lot more about him. His bio's on our website. Peyton interviewed him. AJ interviewed him.
AJ, yeah.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on social media
Facebook,
as well.
Instagram, whatever.
He'll be with us 4:30 tomorrow morning too. So looking forward to it. And see, sometimes on Weather Extra, it's not just your forecast. We come up with some fun ideas.
Switch it up.
I just wanted to kind of pick his brain, talk a little bit of weather. It is Weather Extra after all. All right, I do got to do a little bit of weather.
Okay.
So we're going to go over the graphics. Jonathan, thank you again so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Heat advisory. That's what we're going to talk about, the heat advisory. It goes now until Thursday evening at 7 p.m. So that's been extended 1 day. And tomorrow, probably not as bad as what we're experiencing today. I think a lot of today is going to be more unbearable than tomorrow will be. And a lot of that just has to do with the amount of storms that we're forecasting to come through for your Thursday afternoon and evening. So very, very hot though. Good common sense, good judgment. Electrolytes, drink a sports drink of some kind just to get some electrolytes in your body. I know Smart Water has, I think, electrolytes in it as well. And then we've got heat index, hour by hour here, really just a rough afternoon, probably feeling like 103 to maybe as hot as 110 at times out in parts of northwest Alabama. There's a little bit of either a gust front or just a light shower that's kind of pushing through parts of Madison County into Limestone as well as Morgan County right now. That could even just be dust or insects, potentially birds. Radar doesn't only pick up precipitation, it picks up a little bit of everything, and I'm trying to figure out if that is a shower or some kind of biological event that we have. Right now, your heat index is 105 in Pulaski, 103 in Fayetteville, 100 in Winchester. This is actually running a touch cooler than where we were at the same time yesterday. 99 is what it feels like in Scottsboro, 101 there in Fort Payne, but everyone will be in the triple digits. We are expecting more clouds to push in through the afternoon, so warming up into the mid to even upper 90s. A little bit of a more of a breeze today compared to what we saw yesterday, so even just a little bit of air moving around. That helps us a lot. Wind out of the north and northwest, about 5 to 10 miles per hour potentially. Patchy fog overnight, 74 is your low. A little bit of that cloud cover sticking around with us too. We're going to get to your 10-day forecast. Ran a little long there with the interview of Jonathan, but again, just really appreciate him coming and chatting some weather with us. Isolated to widely scattered showers and storms return for Thursday and Friday. Temperatures going down, and that's a welcome change of pace, obviously. Weekend forecast looks like Saturday and Sunday afternoon. We'll see some storms popping up. Won't be a weekend washout by any means. It will be just like what we had last weekend. We'll have those pop-up storms through the afternoon. Some could be strong, maybe marginally severe, gusty winds, heavy rain, frequent lightning. Next week, starting off a bit more active with higher chances and likelihood of rain and storms for Monday and Tuesday. Now, as we get into the 4th of July, that's the 10th day on your 10-day forecast. Looks like it will be mostly sunny, hot and humid for next Friday. Chance of some isolated showers and storms. That's a ways away. Something we'll see, obviously keep a very close eye on. So thank you so much for joining us for Weather Extra. Appreciate Jonathan Skinner's time. Again, he's on every weekday morning, 4:30 to 7. He'll be on Fastcast and, of course, through the Today Show cut-ins too. But great conversation today, and thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you. Have a good one.